Hello Algebra 1. Today we're going to be doing some review for your Unit 8 quest. So the first thing you should be able to do these questions without a calculator. Write the equation of the graph below, assuming it has a normal shape. The first thing I'm going to notice is that this is opening up, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of option A because it has a negative A value. I'm also going to find my vertex. This is at -3, 1. And I know that when I write my vertex form, the x should change. So this -3 should become a +3. So that gets rid of letter C, and my 1 should stay the same sign, so that means B is my answer. All right, same thing for this one, but this time you're going to notice this is opening down. So I need to have a negative in front. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, and then finally my vertex is at 0, 8. Okay, so that's my x, that's my y. So it can't be letter A because 8 here is with the x. I want D. D is my answer. Which equation best describes the graph below? All right, again, I'm noticing this is opening down. So I'm going to get rid of D and A because both of those have a positive A value. And then this is also a wide parabola. So I know that my A value has to be a fraction between 0 and 1. Like 1/2. Number 4 is opening up, so I know I have a positive A value. I'm going to get rid of B and C. And it's narrow as opposed to wide. So narrow, I know my A value is a number bigger than 1. So it's going to be A because my A value is 2. All right, so now I should be able to figure out my vertex orientation and shape of the parabola without using a calculator. Again, vertex, you're going to change the sign inside with the x, keep the y coordinate the same. Your orientation and your shape both have to do with your A value. Since this is a positive, we are opening up, and since it's more than 1, this is narrow. Okay, vertex for number 6, be careful. There doesn't look like there's a number with x, so that means it's a 0, and then my y coordinate is the 6. Orientation and shape have to do with your A value, which is this guy. It's negative, so this is down. And it's a fraction between 0 and 1, so this is wide. All right, and last one of these, vertex, again, we're going to change the sign, keep the sign. So this will be a -2, -3. Orientation and shape both have to do with this guy right here. Notice that it's a positive, so this is up, and it's really just a 1. So for 1, our shape is always normal. All right, now let's see if we can identify the following from the graph below, and then we'll be able to pull out our calculator. So our vertex, again, is either your min or your max. In this case, we have a max, and that's at -6, 5. Your zeros are where we hit the x-axis, so those are these guys down here, which are at -9, 0 and -3, 0. And then we're just going to find the value of each of these three things. So f of -9 means we're going to go to -9 on the x-axis and find the graph, and we're just at 0. F of -6, go to -6, go up to the graph, and we're at 5. F of -7, find -7, go up to the graph, and you're at 4. All right, so now let's practice graphing. Okay, we're going to take our calculator. Notice you're in standard form here, so we can't find our vertex yet. We've got to actually type it in. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph this. Notice it's going to hit the y-axis up at the top here. So when you draw this, make sure it does actually hit your y-axis. So we're going to find our y-axis, our minimum, and then we also have 2 zeros. All right, so let's find that vertex first. Second, trace minimum. And you can't find your cursor right now. It's all the way up at 16, so it's up here. You want to move to the left, and then eventually it will come out here. And you got to keep going until you're to the left of the vertex. So left bound, enter. Right bound, enter. And then guess right in the middle, enter, and this is at -3, -2. Label it here, label it here. Axis of symmetry is always x equals, and it's always the x coordinate of your vertex. Okay, so there you go. Orientation, we can clearly see this opens up. You also knew that because this was a +2, and because it's a 2, this is also narrow because that's more than 1. Y-intercept, we're going back to second trace. We're choosing value, and our y-intercept is always at x equals 0. That's up at 0, 16. Okay, go ahead and plot it on the graph and here as well. And then finally your zeros, that's why you need to have trace 5. Second trace 5, move your cursor over, enter, enter, enter. So my first one is at -2, 0. And then remember, you do have to do this a second time. Second trace 5, move your cursor over, make sure you're over by the other one, enter, enter, enter. -4, 0. Okay, notice how everything on the line is also on the graph. All right, so next we're going to describe how the graph would look. Okay, and again, you want to use words like vertex. So your vertex would be at 10, 3 because we switch the sign and then keep the sign. We also want to talk about orientation. Orientation means up or down. Since this a value is a negative, this is down. This is a fraction between 0 and 1, so this is going to be y. All right, solve by graphing. Solve by graphing, well, we got to graph that. So let's type it into our calculator. And notice I'm putting everything before the equal sign in y1 and everything after the equal sign in y2. And I'm just going to draw a picture. Got like a parabola and a line. Okay, and they hit in 2 places. All right, I'm going to go second trace 5. Enter, enter, enter. So my first intersection is at 0.31, 1.39. Okay, and so that means x is 0.31. Or, okay, going to find the other one. Enter, enter, enter. This is a -1.31, 4.61. And that means x is also -1.31. Okay. All right, finally, we're going to draw an example of a parabola with 1 solution, 2 solutions, and no solution. And we're just going to go ahead, draw in your x-axis here. We're going to do that in comparison to our x-axis. 1 solution would mean we hit once. 2 solutions would mean we hit twice. Okay, go ahead, you can put your dots there. And no solution would mean we do not hit at all. All right, and there you go. That is your review for your Unit 8 quest. Have a great day.